So we're going to start this video by saying Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Today is Thanksgiving Day, and we're going to time to see how long it takes us to get a full, from scratch, Thanksgiving meal on our table. The time right now is 9:45. We're going to have a late dinner around 5 o'clock, and I'm actually going to utilize the countertop roaster right there to roast our turkey while the oven is free to do all the other things. Hello family, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. I am Vicki and you're with Grammy in the kitchen. So we're going to start the day off by getting our turkey ready in that roaster. So in this ramekin, I have a tablespoon of salt, a teaspoon of pepper, a half a tablespoon of garlic powder, a half a tablespoon of onion powder, a half a tablespoon of oregano, a half a tablespoon of basil, and 1 tablespoon of rosemary, 1 stick of butter. We have clean hands. And here's our beautiful turkey. Now I like to put herbs under the skin, so I'm going to separate the skin from the breast meat and the thigh. I'm not going to worry about him because we're going to temp it anyway. Try not to rip the skin when you're doing this. Alright, so we're going to take a good couple tablespoons of our seasoned mixture and butter. Push it all the way in the skin. The rest of it we're going to put on the outside. Make sure we get the legs really good, the wings. So I have the countertop roaster insert with the wire rack inside. Let's go ahead and put our turkey in there. Putting in just enough water to cover the base of this pan. We'll put in a couple bay leaves. Put the lid on, and I have it set for 350 degrees. Now that was a 12.37 pounds. It's going to take about 4 hours, so we're just going to leave that alone. But let me tell you what our menu is. We're going to have sweet potato casserole that we're going to roast some fresh sweet potatoes for. We're going to have stuffing or dressing, whatever you call it. We're not stuffing the turkey. This is actually going to be in a casserole dish. We have our 1.5 bags of homemade bread that we cubed and dried in the oven. We have some russet potatoes for mashed potatoes. I have some onions. We have to make our onion crisp for our green bean casserole. I have some macaroni and some pepper jack cheese. We're going to make macaroni and cheese. And of course we're going to have some gravy. Brought in 2 quarts of chicken stock just in case we need it if we don't get enough juice from that turkey. So I'm going to go ahead and cook both bags of sweet potatoes, because whatever we don't use for Thanksgiving dinner, I'm going to go ahead and make the casserole dish for Christmas dinner. That way, it's one less thing we have to do. I do want to poke a couple holes. So steam can penetrate and cook the inside of these potatoes. Did I do the other side? I don't know if I did or not. I did wash these, just ran them under some cold water. So I'm going to roast the potatoes until they're knife tender. So when a knife can go in and come out with no resistance at all. That's when we'll know they're done. So in the oven probably for about an hour to an hour and a half. But I need to go ahead and get the vegetables ready for the dressing. So in this pot I have 1 cup of frozen celery and 1 cup of frozen carrots, and I need to add some onions. So I only need about a cup for the stuffing. We'll put a quart of chicken stock. So I'm just going to let the carrots, the celery, and the onions with that chicken stock cook until those vegetables are super, super soft. And I went ahead and took out one of our frozen cinnamon rolls so they can thaw and rise at room temperature so we can cook these for the grandkids. Now for green bean casserole, you can actually use the onion crisp that you buy at the store. I prefer to make it myself. It's not the same, it will not have the same texture, but it is full of flavor. So I'm going to slice the onions from pole to pole, which means this is the root end, this is the top end, and I'll be cutting it going this way. Trying to get it as thin as I possibly can. So this is the onions that are sliced for the green bean casserole. I have an onion left over. I'm just going to stick this in the refrigerator, and if we need it, we'll use it. If we don't need it, we'll eventually chop this up and stick it in the freezer. I'm going to go ahead and get all the potatoes peeled and cubed and in a bowl with some water until we're ready to cook these. The potatoes are peeled and diced, and I have them in cold water. We're just going to set this in the refrigerator until we are ready to cook them. This is probably going to be one of the very last things we do, because cooking mashed potatoes is super simple. I might do something different this time. If you've ever watched Hopewell Heights, the YouTube channel, I watched her Thanksgiving dinner. She didn't have it on Thanksgiving. She had it a couple weeks early for one of her kids' birthday party. And she made a cream corn that looks so good. And I'm going to try that cream corn. I need to go to the freezer and see if I have any frozen corn. I'm going to go ahead and start the honey butter. The butter has been softened. It's been sitting on the counter since I woke up this morning. And it's simply 2 ingredients, honey and butter. Mixed together. I put it in parchment paper and I'll stick it in the refrigerator so that butter can solidify. Honey is just mixed in with it. It is so good. Now this is a holiday favorite in my house. So I just have a stick of butter. I just want to soften it up a bit with the back end of a fork. You don't want it like super soft. You still want it to have a little bit of firm to it or it will not hold the honey. So for 1 stick of butter, I'm going to put 1 tablespoon of honey. And I'm just going to use the parchment paper to elongate it. And we're just going to put our honey butter in the refrigerator, let it re-solidify and become nice and firm, and bring it out about 30 minutes before dinner's ready. So we started this dinner exactly 1 hour ago. The turkey is still in the roaster, the sweet potatoes are still in the oven, the russet potatoes are still peeled, diced, in water in the refrigerator. We have the celery, onions, and carrots in the chicken stock on the stove. I've turned that off. We're just going to leave it right there until we're ready for it. Onions have been sliced for the green bean casserole, and that is a 1 hour update. 2 hour update. Turkey is still in the roaster. The sweet potatoes are out. They took an hour and a half, and every 30 minutes I just turned the pan a 180 degree, let them cook evenly. The vegetables for the stuffing is done, still sitting on the pot. I want to go ahead and toast some bread in. So this is store-bought bread. Some were in the freezer. A couple of them were on the counter. I just want to toast these because this is actually going to be a Parmesan cheese crust on top of the macaroni and cheese. So I have the oven on 250 degrees. We're just going to turn those until they're nice and dry. But we're going to go ahead and get started on the sides. I have all my casserole dishes right here. And each casserole dish, I have what's going to go in that dish. Let's go ahead and make the green bean casserole. Now, if you make your green bean casserole with the store-bought French-style onions, I don't know what they're called, and a can of cream of whatever, that's fine. But I want to show you how to make your own crispy French fries and a homemade cream of anything you want. You can make cream of celery by adding celery, cream of mushroom by adding mushroom, cream of chicken by putting some chicken stock in it or some chicken bits, whatever. We're going to make a homemade cream of chicken soup for the green bean casserole. But first we need to do the onions. So I'm melting some coconut oil. And in this bowl I have 1 cup of flour, 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, and some salt and pepper. That is it for the breading. And then we have our onions that we sliced up earlier. We're going to put that in the flour mixture. I'm going to do half at a time. toss it in that flour cornstarch. So we have the onions coated with the seasoned cornstarch and flour. We're going to shake off any excess and drop it in the oil. I have a plate lined with paper towels to put the onions on once they're done. And we're just going to cook this in batches. This is not going to be like those French's onions you get at the store. This is homemade. It's going to taste like homemade and it's going to look like homemade. So the first batch is done, and I'm going to continue until all the onions have been fried. I'm shaking all the loose flour off before I'm dropping it in. So all of the onions have been fried. Now we're going to work on the cream of whatever. So I got 2 tablespoons of butter. We're just going to melt this over medium heat. This is the remainder of the flour and the cornstarch seasoned with salt and pepper that we use to coat our onions in. I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons. And our chicken broth powder. Three tablespoons. And we're just going to toast the flour cornstarch with the chicken broth powder just for about a minute or two. We're going to add about a cup of chicken stock. And 2 cups of milk. We're just going to whisk all the lumps away. I have the water going to come up to a boil for the macaroni and cheese. And we just want to cook this until it thickens up a bit. Does not need no salt or pepper. It is perfect. So this is 2 packets of the frozen green beans. We're going to add our cream sauce. We're not going to add the onion crisp on top until we're ready to put this in the oven. But this is one side dish almost done. So I have a very large casserole dish. It says it's a 4.8 quarts. 15 by 10. Sweet potato casserole is the husband's favorite. So we always make sure we have plenty. So this is the sweet potatoes we cooked this morning. They have cooled. It took an hour and a half to bake these. So we're going to sit here and get all the peelings off. So I'm going to cut them about 2 to 3 inches. Alright, so let me finish all of these sweet potatoes and I'll be right back. We are still waiting on the water. We're still waiting on the water for the macaroni to finish heating up, coming to a boil. Then we're going to get started on the macaroni and cheese, and then we have to make our stuffing. And the mashed potatoes and gravy will be the last thing we put together. Turkey was in the roaster for 3.5 hours. It is done. I still have it in the countertop roaster. I have it on the warm setting because I don't have no room to put that turkey at the moment. So we're just going to leave them in there until we can find room. So I think we started out with 11 potatoes and I have 6 left over. I'm just going to put these in the refrigerator, and either today or tomorrow I'll go ahead and make the sweet potato casserole and stick it in the freezer for Christmas. So we have some brown sugar, cinnamon, maple syrup, when we're ready to start heating up the sides, we'll put everything in the oven at the same time. As for the sweet potatoes, we're going to let those get hot and bubbly. And then once the potatoes and that syrup we just made inside gets nice and hot, we'll add our marshmallows on top and melt those without the aluminum foil. But I'm going to go ahead and just put everything in the oven. The oven is still off because we're not ready to eat. Let's go ahead and start making the dressing or stuffing, whatever you call it, and get that in a casserole dish so we can get that in the oven until we're ready to eat. So this is our homemade, home-dried bread cubes we made a couple weeks ago. This is 1 can of chicken stock that we cooked the onions, celery, and carrots. We're going to add salt, pepper. I didn't have enough sage this year, so we're using store-bought sage, and it's about 2 tablespoons. So the water for the macaroni has come to a boil. I'm going to go ahead and boil 12 ounces of macaroni according to the package, which is going to be about 7 minutes. But I'm going to do it al dente so they can bake in the oven and finish cooking. So we're going to cook this about 5 to 6 minutes. I'm going to add some more chicken stock. I want the bread cubes moist but not sopping wet. Definitely don't want these dry. And this is some rosemary I just put through the blender, the smoothie blender. I'm just going to add a good pinch of that in there. More salt and pepper. more sage. Let's add another tablespoon of sage. We'll put a little bit of oil in the bottom of our casserole dish. I'm just going to go ahead and set the dressing in the oven also. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and make a new dish for our family tradition. I was watching the channel Hopewell Heights, and she made this creamed corn, and it looked delicious, and she put some cheese in there. I'm going to try that for the first time today. We're going to see how well it turns out. I'm following her recipe, but I'm tweaking it a bit. I'm using pepper jack cheese because, well, that's what I have besides mozzarella, and I wanted pepper jack cheese. So she just cooks the corn in a Dutch oven with a little bit of stock. I'm going to use chicken stock, and then she goes and adds heavy cream and some cheese, salt and pepper, onion powder, garlic powder, and stuff like that. So I'm very interested to see how many in my family will enjoy this. So that's 2 8-ounces of frozen corn. I'm going to put about a cup of chicken stock, salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. So I have the corn on the back burner. We're going to make the cheese sauce in the pot that we cooked the macaroni in. So about 3 tablespoons of butter. And we're going to make a roux, which is butter and flour, or any fat with a flour, equal parts. 1/4 teaspoon of pepper and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Two tablespoons of flour. Alright, we're going to add chicken stock. It's about 1½ cups. And 2 cups of milk. And we're going to cook that until it thickens up, and then we're going to add our pepper jack cheese. So I have about 4 cups of pepper jack cheese. I'm not sure how much I'm going to need. And then once the cheese is melted, then we'll taste it for salt and pepper. The corn is to a boil. So there's just some herbs and spices with some chicken stock. I'm going to turn the temperature down to way low and just let it simmer. The base of the cream sauce for the macaroni is starting to thicken up very slowly. Now I do want to save at least 1 cup of the pepper jack cheese for the corn. Alright, so we're going to dump in 2 cups. We're going to stir that until we can get all that cheese melted into that milk sauce. Let's taste it for seasoning. It needs a little bit of salt. And just a pinch of pepper. And we turn that down just a bit so we don't scorch the cheese into this pot. And we'll add another cup of pepper jack cheese. We're going to add our pasta. This is the bread that we toasted this morning. And I have the Parmesan cheese in here. I got to put a whole bag of Parmesan cheese. Got a casserole dish. We're going to add our macaroni and cheese. So I'm going to put the macaroni and cheese in the oven. I'm going to get caught up on all the dishes. So the only thing we have left to do is finish that creamed corn, heat all of the sides, put the marshmallows on the candied yams or sweet potato casserole, make the mashed potatoes and the gravy. Turkey is done. I want to cover it up with aluminum foil. I need to strain the turkey juice from that countertop roaster so we can make our gravy. So we're at 5 hours and we're in the home stretch. We just have to heat up our croissants, make the mashed potatoes and the gravy, get everything in the oven heated up, add the marshmallows to the sweet potatoes, and finish that creamed corn. We're just taking our time because there is no set time for dinner. It's just when Barbara and her family come over, we'll have dinner. It is 3 o'clock at the moment. I went ahead and turned the oven on to 350 to heat up those 4 dishes we have in the oven. I got the potatoes on the stove coming up to a boil to make the mashed potatoes. And we're going to go ahead and finish that creamed corn. So we're going to put about 1 cup of heavy cream in the corn. And we're going to add 1 cup of pepper jack cheese. Any kind of good melty cheese will be perfect, she says. I'm going to turn that on a very low and just let it simmer. So waiting on the potatoes, and we still need to make the gravy. I have the ham in a cast iron skillet. No water, no nothing, and this is going to go in the oven also. So the potatoes are done. Let's add some salt, some pepper, and butter. So I got about 3 tablespoons of butter so far, and milk. I'm going to put some butter on the sweet potato casserole. And I think I need some more brown sugar. I don't weigh or measure. I go by looks. Okay, so this is going to go back in the oven without the aluminum foil. Macaroni and cheese is done. Green bean casserole. Let's go ahead and add our onion on top. The stuffing, ooh, it's starting to crisp up right there. All right, so we need to turn, make sure we turn this 180 degrees. You know what? I need to put this on the top. This is starting to burn on the bottom. All right, let's rearrange. Hand on the bottom. And now we need to get started on the gravy. 2 tablespoons of butter. And we're just going to make a roux with flour, butter, olive oil. I'm going to put equal parts flour, salt and pepper, and I have the strained turkey drippings going in, slowly whisking that in. A little bit of more salt and pepper, and that should be it. Giving the sweet potatoes a nice little toss. Get that brown sugar and the cinnamon and the syrup all mixed in there. Beautiful. And this is our homemade marshmallows. And we still have plenty left over for hot cocoa. And we're just going to put this in the oven until the marshmallows melt. And that is it. Everything is done. We're just waiting for Barbara and her family to come over, waiting for those marshmallows to melt. All we have to do is warm up the croissants and slice the turkey. So we got creamed corn, mashed potatoes, gravy, green bean casserole, stuffing, macaroni and cheese, sweet potatoes, ham, and turkey. I think I said everything. It's a good day, family. It's a really, really good day. All right, green bean casserole, macaroni and cheese, stuffing, ham, sweet potato casserole, cheesy cream corn, mashed potatoes, some of the turkey we sliced already. That's the honey butter, and then regular butter, gravy, and we have the croissants in the oven warming up. So we have been in the kitchen for 6 hours, got everything together, but it wasn't rushed. We took our time. We cooked the sweet potatoes. We let them cool. We cooked the vegetables for the dressing. Let that cool. We had the turkey in the countertop roasting all morning, and it's cooked perfect. It took 4 hours. Plus we made mashed potatoes and creamed corn. We had to cook the onions for the green bean casserole. Everything smells delicious. I want to say happy Thanksgiving, and thank you very much for spending the day with me in my kitchen while we made a beautiful Thanksgiving feast that we will be eating on 4 days, which is fine with me. You know how I am with leftovers. We eat it until it's gone. Right over here you're going to see 2 videos. Go check those out to the next upload. They're either going to inspire you to get in your kitchen or give you a chuckle. Either one is fine with me. Y'all have a blessed day, and I hope your Thanksgiving is full of food, family, and fun. Until next time. Bye, family.